demonstration. Great. So this will be recording of this of today's workshop will be made available through the ICT platform. So it will be an output that will remain available for anyone who wants to consult and learn about this innovation proposed today. So let's start with the agenda. First of all, I thank you for being here. I thank the speakers, Mr. Brunori and Mr. Marini, for being available today. So I will start sharing my screen. So I think either Antonio or Francesco should interrupt their sharing and I will share mine. Okay, so and just tell me if you can see my screen as soon as it loads.
Okay.
Can you?
Yes.
Great. So just a very, very quick word. I don't want to take away time from the real point of today's meeting. This is just to tell you in which frame we have these workshops. We developed a series of workshops on specific innovations that, as I said, will be available through the ICT platform, which you will have the link soon, is the place where we will deposit all the information that we wish to share. What is the Living Agro project? Living Agro stands for Cross-Border Living Laboratories for Agroforestry. It's a 4 years project. It will end soon in August 2023, 31st of August. It's funded by the NECBC Med program. It's cross-border because it involves 4 countries, 2 from the European, on the Mediterranean European side, Italy and Greece, and 2 from the Middle East area, Jordan and Lebanon, with several partners involved, 6 partners and 4 associated partners. The second keyword of the title is Living Laboratory, which basically is just a co-working, a co-creation environment, co-creation of innovation environment, basically a network of people, of researchers, of institutions, of the quadruple helix of the innovation that collaborate together to bring the innovations from the research labs to the field, so that try to bring ahead the technology transfer. The features of a living laboratories is that it has to have a real life setting. So you have to develop field trials and conduct them in real case scenarios. It has to be user-centered, so based on the needs expressed by the end users, and it has to have a co-creation approach. The living lab that the project aims to develop are in the field of agroforestry, which basically entails mixing trees with crops or trees with animals. And depending on the combination of these, we can have silvopastoral systems, silvo-arable systems in different combinations in the same land unit. There are many definitions, of course, and I mean, there is much more on agroforestry you can find in literature and on the ICT platform. This is just a very short run. The 2 types of living labs that we want to develop in the field of agroforestry encompass 2 types of systems: the olive multifunctional systems, Living Lab 1, and the grazed woodlands, Living Lab 2. So basically what we want to do is to create a community of people in each of these topics, a community which is cross-border, so from Jordan to Lebanon to Greece and in general Mediterranean. And for this purpose, we had several meetings with these people, asking them what type of innovations they were interested in. We also have driven, according to their suggestions, some innovation pilots. So basically we worked on intercropping faba beans in olive groves, or cover crops in silvopastoral systems, or developing tree nurseries for restoration and intercropping purposes, especially legumes to improve quality of the swards. these different types of innovations that we gathered were collected in catalogs of innovation. This is a picture of one of the catalogs, or one of the 10 catalogs that we have developed. And these catalogs were presented in 10 brokerage events, events in which we tried to merge the end users with, but innovators on the one hand, with the researchers, and to close this gap. There were 2 in Greece, 4 in Lebanon, and 4 in Jordan. The last one ended in March this year. It was a great opportunity to learn about these countries, to share knowledge and experience, and to try to engage, as I said, to close the gap between research and end users. So this is a platform where you can register and find more information on some of the project outputs. It is in 4 languages. You can choose your own language. Some functionalities are maybe slow. We're working on it, but so work is always in progress. Our aim is to build a permanent partnership with the people that have participated to Living Agro to support the life beyond the end of the project. So to sign partnership agreements called 4P agreements, public-private people partnerships, and also research agreements, so that we can keep on our activities after the 31st of August 2023. So we have sent several institutions or people the invitations to sign these agreements, and you'll be able to find more on the ICT platform soon, or maybe you have already received a request. What you will find in the platform is the catalogs, e-learning modules in different languages about agroforestry, a forum, the possibility of interacting with experts, news and events, and more information on the project. Also, coming up soon, there will be training on enterprise creation for those companies in Jordan and Lebanon, because the aim is especially to have a transfer towards this type of environments that will occur in end of July. So keep in touch by visiting the website of the project, the official one, but especially the ICT platform that I showed before. There is much more there. Or the social media, where you can find some links to the events we are working on. Thank you for the attention. Sorry for taking so long. This is a project in a nutshell. What I did not mention and did not add in the slide is that we also aim to develop products that will be patented. So we will have markers and seed mixtures that will be registered. This is also a market view of the project. So thank you for your attention, and now I will leave the floor to the speakers, in particular to Antonio Brunori, Director of PEFC Italy. Antonio, correct me if I'm wrong in the title, but please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Shukran, for being in line with the audience. Yes, I am a forest engineer, and I'm guiding the Italian antenna, the Italian national governing body of PEFC. And with Francesco Marini, we organized this presentation for the purpose of training you that you are present, and you will follow this webinar in online mode. Talking about sustainable management of agroforestry systems. Please give me the opportunity to say thank you very much to Living Agro Project in the person of Sara Martoni and her organization, because for us is a very important opportunity to present the sustainable forest management and sustainable agroforestry management in this area of the Mediterranean Sea. With me, as you can read in the name, will be Francesco Marini, who will talk about the agroforestry system certification in details. Meanwhile, let me introduce to you the summary of this event. you can see that first we will introduce the PEFC International family, and later what is PEFC Italy. We will talk about agroforestry certification in Italy and other countries. Later, we will talk about which are the opportunities that sustainable forest management and agroforestry certification will give to any agroforestry system that would like to start this process of certification. And then we will talk about the Eyes on Earth contest. That is an interesting contest that is talking about forest innovation in southern Mediterranean area. Okay. PEFC stands for Program for Endorsement of Forest Certification. And as you can see by the name, the main focus of PEFC is forest. Okay. Now, I am the Secretary General of the not-for-profit non-governmental organization in Italy, PEFC Italy. And in this moment, we are trained, we are founded by 59 members coming from forest and agroforestry system, agroforestry association, university research sector, industry, work unions, consumers, and environmental group. For who knows the Italian situation, Lega Ambiente is one of the group that is in our organization, together with Altro Consumo and other consumer organization. PEFC International is the international umbrella organization, and since 1999 we were talking about forestry only, but since 2018 we are working on trees outside forest. That is the terminology adopted by FAO for all the trees that are outside a forestry context. That means agroforestry, that means urban areas, urban forest areas, and all the other, let's say, situation that see trees as protagonists. Sustainable forest management without traceability, that means chain of custody certification, will be useless. Therefore, we have 3 different certification schemes. One is about the primary sector, that is forestry, agroforestry, and urban areas. Then the secondary sector, that is the industry and the production of material, such as forest-based product, table, paper, packaging, and everything that is connected to the non-wood forest products, such as mushrooms, honey, oils, etc. And the third sector is about the ecosystem services, such as biodiversity protection, such as carbon credit, that is the mitigation role of forest and agroforestry systems, plus tourism and forest bathing. Okay, just to give you an idea. Since we are inside Living Agro, in this webinar, we will talk about the 3 outside forest standard, mainly agroforestry system. In this map, you can see in which countries, the dark green, we have members with recognized and endorsed systems. While in the light green, you can see the countries that are developing the certification system in their countries and are in line to be recognized, to be endorsed. The dots are the countries in which you can find some enterprises, some companies who receive the chain of custody certification. That means the traceability. So are the countries that has their production system certified for indicating that their wood or their paper or their forest-based material is coming from PEFC certified sources. Again, forest certification is a voluntary market-based instrument and is based on sustainable forest management, sustainable agroforestry certification, plus the chain of custody certification, that each step that you can see need to be characterized by an audit of third party. That means somebody who is going to check the flow of material to receive the logo that that product, for example, a furniture, a parquet, an oil, or a mushroom, is coming from PEFC certified and sustainable sources. In this moment, PEFC Italy developed an agroforestry system, and we can have the opportunity to trace also its products. Indeed, as we know, as we coming from Mediterranean Sea, some non-wood forest product is much more valuable than timber itself. In some areas, timber is not considered at all, while truffle, cork, ham, pine seeds, wild animals, and honey and fruits, etc., are more valuable than the timber itself. So going to the, let's say, way PEFC and all other certification schemes based on forest-based are seen the forest, you see that agroforestry is considered in the non-forest area. In fact, we are going to talk about what is certification on this type of classification. Stands smaller than 0.5 hectares or trees in agricultural lands, such as home gardens, orchards, agroforestry systems, etc., or trees in urban environment. For you, it's very important to know that olive orchards can be considered inside the trees outside forest certification of PEFC Italy. FAO definition of trees outside forest has very specific definition, and I'm not going to read everything, but you probably know about it. And agroforestry system are those who are inside the definition, and PEFC Italy is taking FAO definition as the definition. But when we are going to talk about what is the certification of an agroforestry system, it is clear that we are not going to talk about the single tree certification, but we are going to talk about the system of trees outside forest in the system, and we are going to talk about the management, the responsible, sustainable management of all trees outside forest. So we are not talking about the entire system, and we are not going to talk about the single tree. So that means that if we do a categorize of TOF, of tree outside of forest in pictures, we have agriculture, intensive presence of trees inside the agricultural system, such as this Malaysian plantation of Eucalyptus tereticornis, or extensive plantation or edges or linear plantation, such as this eucalyptus. Again, is just a case. It's not, we're talking about only about eucalyptus, that is in Thailand. While if we talk about urban forest, that means settlement, we can talk about this urban forest in the United States, or this linear park and trees in a typical European city. Now you can see that being intensive means to have 70% of the requirement of a forest, while an extensive management in agriculture or in a urban area request the half of the requirement in a forest area. I hope that you don't mind if I show you some of the European agro-silvopastoral system, because this gives an idea of where started the idea of doing agroforestry certification. You can see here a very intensive hedgerow alley cropping with poplar plus corn, or agro-silvopastoral system with fruit orchards, and here below you can have sheep, and here it can be eventually cultivated wheat or oat. In this very small system, you have chicken, crocus or asparagus in the interline with olive trees, and here you have another system with silvopastoral and agro-silvopastoral system, where during the summer we have an agricultural crop, during the winter we have sheep or goats or whatever. For us, it's very important to show that when we talk about silvopastoral system, sometimes people think about the whole system, like, for example, having some animals inside chestnut plantation, like in this case. But you can see an innovative way is having an intensive Pinus radiata plantation with grazing of some cattle, for example. Or in case of a silvo-arable system, olive grow with cereal, while the modern, the more innovative system is hybrid poplar with cereal. Regarding linear system, the old system is about oak hedgerow along the field border, while in this moment an innovative way is to see the trees appearing as a buffer strip for phytoremediation in between the agricultural field and the water channels. Why I say that? Because agroforestry is always being considered a very traditional, very old way to do cultivation. While, for example, in this case, in the Thailand production system called Kanna, we have eucalyptus plus rice, very intensive production, and this system could be considered as an agroforestry system. We show you this one because we could promote also the Indian system, but it's very far away from our Mediterranean approach, since imagine in India 90% of the timber production is coming from home gardens, from agroforestry system. So it's absolutely a different level, a different quantity, extension in terms of surface and in terms of biomass. While in the Mediterranean area, the agroforestry systems are generally quite limited in extension, but not limited in diffusion in the country. PEFC Italy is probably the leader in Mediterranean area about the PEFC certification and regarding tree outside forest. And we know that the agroforestry system is not only a local value, it has a national level, but also international level, simply because it increased the provision of ecosystem services from trees and agroforestry system, and because it is very much direct contributor to rural livelihood and economic opportunity for the inner area, for the area far away from urban city. Now, in some country, as I was telling you, in Asia and South America, but also in Africa, the market of wood raw material is very important. Now, we calculated in Italy that 10% of internal production of timber is coming from tree outside forest. Probably in Middle East, the timber production is very, very limited because the climate situation. But the value of agroforestry system, especially with animals and agricultural feed under the canopy of trees, is much more important than the timber itself. Just to end this part of description of the forest certification standard and tree outside forest certification standard, I confirm that PEFC Italy has already available the forest, sustainable forest management certification standard and the tree plantation certification standard. But next year, it will be available the agroforestry and urban green area certification standard. Right now, we are in the pilot case situation. So in this moment, there are several units, several entities who are testing both agroforestry and urban green area sustainable forest management. That is why we want to produce for you in this moment a description of what is agroforestry certification system based on situation that we already tested in the field. But only in 10 months from now will be an available tool for the use by certification body. A real case of this situation is derived from rural development program that is the EU-funded project that we developed together with other network of local entity, Toscan entities, for the Newton project. Newton means Network of Agroforestry in Tuscany region. And you can see that we tested the system in olive orchard, in the areas between forestry and olives, and in forestry with some cattle inside. So that was very, very important situation for us. And it's a very big pleasure for me and Francesco Marini to tell you that the project was able not only to test the standard, but also to consider that in agriculture field, in the area in which we can develop agroforestry system, we have found 48 products or product categories and 13 processed and manufactured products. And all these certification opportunity were only in agricultural field. There was no agroforestry certification system who could cover such products or manufactured products. So 61 products or processed products are potentially, okay, subject of a quality or sustainability certification in Italian, European, or global scale. And just to give you the numbers, you can see wine grapes, tomatoes, melon, oats and other cereal, olives and walnut, wine, sunflower and triticale, beef meat or pork meat, peppers and others. You see the numbers of potential certification schemes that could be adopted in Italian, European, or worldwide level. Just to give you an idea, olives or even tomatoes could be certified for specific Chinese brand owner organization. So beside the ISO 9000 or 14,000 or the GDP or PDO certification or PEFC or whatever, the Chinese have different certification system to verify the quality of Italian olives, Italian wine, etc., etc. So you can see here the number of potentiality. However, there were no agroforestry system certification system who could take care of this material. Here you see some name of certification standards. Very, very interesting for us to learn, but I'm pretty sure that you can see some name that is Global Gap, Site Platform, Global Gap, Crops, Certified Wildlife, etc., EcoVadis, Fair Labor. There are a number, really a big number of certification for the specific products in agriculture and agroforestry system. So we decided to create a specific agroforestry system certification connected to the trees and tree-based product in order to offer a competitive tool for agricultural land or forestry landowner that wish to describe what is the quality and the sustainability of their production according to PEFC standard. So we involved Pan-European Operational Guideline, the International Labour Organization Convention. We look for EU regulation, national regional laws, management plan, pan-European criteria indicators, plus we created a specific forum for agroforestry experts. In the end, it came out this structure where it is clear that after the certification, only the company who come over the performance level that is typical of PEFC certification, only those companies can receive the PEFC certification out of the trees or trees outside forest based material. Okay, I hope you have some questions, but I ask you to keep in mind and to tell me later, because now is the time for Francesco to describe what is the sustainable management of an agroforestry system according to PEFC, and I give the floor to him to enter to describe the system. Are you available, Francesco?
Yeah. Thank you, Antonio. Okay, I'm trying to share my screen. Okay, now you are available to see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
We are.
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Okay. Now I'm talking about the PEFC standard of agroforestry system that until now Antonio presented in general. Starting from the definition that the forum that we created start for agroforestry. What is agroforestry in our standard? We catch the definition from European law and put it into the standard. The agroforestry is a collective name for land use practices where trees and shrubs are consciously and rationally integrated with crops and or animal husbandry in the same land unit, and where there are important ecological and or economic interactions between trees and agricultural and animal components. What is the scope of the standard? Is the three component of an agroforestry system and the elements connected to it. We underlined this concept because it's very important that as mentioned by Antonio, we can certify the three component, the management system, not only a single tree, the single tree. And so this is very important for us. And after the agroforestry definition, we define also what is the sustainable management of an agroforestry system. That is the management of agro-silvopastoral, silvoarable, and silvopastoral systems. These are the three components of the system that it can be possible to be certified with agroforestry standard for PEFC Italy. And so the management of agro-silvopastoral, silvoarable, and silvopastoral system in such a way and measure as to maintain their ability to provide ecosystem services, biodiversity, regenerative capacity, vitality, and their potential to ensure important ecological functions now and in the future, economic and social at the local, national, and global level, so that it does not cause damage to other ecosystems. These are the three systems that I mentioned now, and I remember another time that the three components of this system are able to be certified. So silvo-arable, silvo-pastoral, and agro-silvo-pastoral systems. This is an example of the criteria, guidelines, and indicators that are into the document. And for a major comprehension of this structure, I report this example of the criterion 3, the guideline 3.1 and the indicator 3.1a. At the top, you can see the number and criterion title, and then we find the guideline explanation. Then the indicator applicable for one or more of the three systems that we report. And then you can see the indicator name, the type of the indicator, if mandatory or informative, the indicators measurement parameter, the critically threshold that you are come for reach the certification, the scope for improvement for this specific indicator, the sources of detection and information, and the applicable or not applicability for tree outside forest agriculture extensive. Now I want to report the 6 criteria that composed these standards, such as all the PEFC standard. The criterion 1 regarding the maintenance or appropriate enhancement of agroforestry resources and their contribution to the global carbon cycle. The guidelines regarding three components and their map, carbon sequester, climate positive practices in management operations. The criterion 2 regarding the agroforestry ecosystem health and vitality. The guidelines are biotic and abiotic damages, three component health, vitality, and resilience, agroforestry system intervention, pesticide usage, waste management. The third criterion regarding the productive function of agroforestry management, wood and non-wood products, and the ecosystem services and wood-based products furniture, the management company responsibility. The criterion 4 regarding the biological diversity for maintenance, conservation, and appropriate enhancement. The criterion 5 is the maintenance or appropriate enhancement of protective function in agroforestry management, soil, notably soil and water, and the guideline regarding the canopy maintenance for protective function, the cultural techniques in sensitive soils and erosion-prone areas. The last but not least, the criterion 6 regarding specifically the socio-economic function and conditions. For example, in this criterion, we consider the ILO for the training, professional updating, and guarantee of the decent work for the staff employed in the company. This is a very important criterion in our political. And so, for summarize the number, in agroforestry standard, we have 6 criteria, 36 guidelines, and 43 indicators. And at the bottom of the document, we reported 2 tables. The first one define the several examples of traditional and innovative system for the 3 systems that we reported before. silvoarable, agro-silvopastoral e silvopastoral systems. In table 2, we report the definition of extensive or intensive threshold for agroforestry in Italy according to PEFC Italy. And so this table was created by the forum to define, as requested by PEFC International, to define the thresholds between extensive and intensive agroforestry system in Italy. As mentioned before by Antonio, in Mediterranean area, the non-wood forest and agroforestry products can be very important. Also, better than woods in several countries, such as cork. In this picture, you can see the certified PEFC cork that you can find in Portugal, or for example, porcini mushrooms as a non-wood agroforestry products, certified essential oils, herbs and aromatic species, or certified chestnut, or certified forest honey, for example, or wildlife meat. Now I report several examples, Italian and non example. Here you can see a Spanish example of an agroforestry product that is the wildlife meat. And so this cattle were under a certified management system. In this picture, you can see the forest honey that were certified, and in this case, the certified cork used in the bottle of wine, for example. This is the timing of national process for agroforestry standard creation that we started in December 2020, and we test the document, the standard, into the agro-silvopastoral farm, and now we send this document to the PEFC International to review our documents, and we hope that from the first month of 2024, this document, this tool, it will be available for everyone. And in this picture, and then I leave the floor to Antonio. We report the summarize of the type of step that our country can reach to create an agroforestry standard of PEFC. Antonio, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Please stop your sharing.
Yeah.
So I can begin mine. Thank you, Francesco. I hope that we were able to give you the right curiosity to know what is a certification scheme, and what is important for you, that you are in a country that does not have still a certification system for forestry, agroforestry, is the fact that you can develop a certification scheme, and how you can do it. So this is the last part of this description, and then we give you some hints on how the market can grant such a choice. That means giving a certification to an agroforestry product. first of all, you have to know that the certification is a marketing tool. So having an agroforestry system, in your case, could be olive orchards, could be an agro-silvopastoral system, will give attention to your products by the consumers, not only local, but also national and international level. And that would emphasize not only the quality, but also the sustainable production of food, timber, fuel, or any other environmental services. In this case, you have to know that in Italy, we have more than 1 million hectares of olive orchard. That is 10% of our forestry system. Our system was built in a way that we can participate to all the events in agroforestry area. Therefore, we become members of the IAF, that is the Italian Association of Agroforestry. And then we participate at EURAF meeting. EURAF is the European Agroforestry Federation. So being inside such event, we could describe how important is the participation of a forestry and agroforestry certification scheme inside the system. Now, just to give you an idea, the 6th and the 7th December of 2023, we will have the first forum of agroforestry system in Rome of this year. We participate in several projects before presenting our standard. And as you can see here, we receive in EURAF, the European Agroforestry Conference held in Sardinia, our system, just to receive later on some feedback from researchers and people that are involved in agroforestry. So we are part of Digitaf project, so it's the digitalization in agroforestry system. And we personally developed a system, a sustainable olive orchard management system with the production of carbon credit coming from sustainable management of olive orchards. This is something very interesting because we developed a system that was able to put in the voluntary market of carbon credit a number of tons of sustainable CO2 quantity of olive orchard euros per ton. And this logic is if orchard owner, agricultural farmers with trees is doing a sustainable management of its agroforestry system, then it can sell such a positive approach into the system, in the market, since there are people that are looking for such CO2 to neutralize or to compensate their pollution. Just to give you an idea, the price in Italy of a carbon credit is very up and down. As you can see, we were able to put in the market when it was valuable around 12 euro, we sell it at 16 euros because olive orchards are for the urban dwellers, for the inhabitants, a system that is very valuable. You can ask, yes, PEFC certification is important, quality, sustainability, but what can I have in return of spending some money for certification? What I gain in terms of value for money that I spend? How much money do I have? So we decided to present these slides because consumer request certification, and such a certification can be useful for having an interest by the consumer to differentiate your product regarding other products. Remember that if you certified something, you offer some guarantee, some thing that is important for the consumer. If you have a certification, 98% of consumers choose your product if you have the same cost. This is an internationally recognized study. There is a premium price for the certified product that arrive for organic product to the 4.5%. If it costs 4.5% more, still there is a value for the consumer. Higher is the cost, then will reduce the choice and the availability to spend money for the consumer. In addition, you can see that a certification tool is very important for being more competitive, not only for the price, but for the visibility on the shelf. So your decision to certify your agroforestry based product could be useful also to increase your reputation and the loyalty of your clients and consumer, because basically you offer them sustainable messages, and you offer them an image that is very important. Remember that any brand is living based on the loyalty and on the reputation that consumers have on their brand. Therefore, you have always to pass positive messages about your product, but also about your governance. And in case some companies, for example, were certifying their packaging or even their wooden pallets, that is the material who carry the products, simply because they were describing their supply chain as being deforestation zero. So you see, even though the pallet is not visible to consumer, but the declaration by the company was important to classify them as ethical and deforestation zero company. The last example we want to give you is that some companies, probably you know this cart door brand, it is part of Unilever group, Algida Unilever, that spend some money to a local municipality close to Rome, and they spend those money in exchange of having such advertisement together to protect and develop the forest heritage. You see? So it is just reputation for environmental commitment. Another company, here we have Findus for the Italian example. This Findus, what is doing is spending money, changing their packaging from plastic to PEFC certified paper box, and spending money for investing on sustainable forest management. Again, we are having something connected to image, reputation, and opportunity to explain how important it is for the consumer to buy their products because the company is spending money to protect their forest. So you see here, probably you don't know Italian language, but here Gratinati is this product, is fish. We support the project of PEFC certification in 3,000 hectares in Lazio region for sustainable management of forest. You see again advertisement in television, in web, in their website, etc., etc. And now, just to finish our discussion, you see here that there is this Eyes on Earth contest. So this contest is promoting, is giving some money for those countries in the southern Mediterranean areas, such as Jordan and Lebanon and other countries, Palestine in the Middle East, in which you can propose, for example, just let me, okay, let's see here. I don't know if you can see, okay, like that you can read it. In which, if you put medforest.net, you can have this contest, and this will give you the opportunity to be to have your project paid by European Union in this case. So please take note of this contest, and maybe you can take advantage of this seminar promoting an agroforestry system in your country and PEFC certification.
Antonio, I'm sorry, I put just now the link into the chat. If you want, save it.
Perfect. That means no, I was not. Okay, excellent. Now I see. Perfetto, as we say in Italian. Now, just to conclude our webinar, when we talk about certification, you see, PEFC is one of the hundreds of certification scheme that you can find in the market. And you can have a product certification. You can have, in addition, some traceability certification, some system certification, some mandatory certification, or some ISO certification. For example, APD, Ecolabel, ISO 38200, etc. But what is important for you to know, in case you can connect your sustainability approach with the system you prefer, and we suggest you to develop a PEFC system in your country, and PEFC Italy can be of support, a sister, a twinning relationship with your country, because what is important to know is the finance at the international level is using PEFC, FSC, sustainable management for giving a rating for your system that will give you then the opportunity to receive money from bank in a way that you can receive your loan with less intensive percentage. So the people who have, for example, the ESG rating for your company, this is at least what's happening in Europe, then you receive 0.3% less rate of the value of the money you ask to the bank. Only if you are PEFC certified or Ecolabel, etc., etc. So we are finishing here our webinar. It's time for question and answer, and then I will give the word to Sara Maltoni for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I think this of the certification as a green marketing tool is quite diverse among countries. It's very well developed in European and American and context, I guess. My first point, well, I want to know if there are questions from the audience. You can just raise your hand or otherwise write them on the chat. There is a chat function at the bottom, and you can pose your question there in case. If I might break the ice, the curiosity I have is, as I said before, in the Middle East, to your knowledge, or through the contacts that you had maybe with the FAO representative, Jordan or Lebanon representatives, in your view, what is the feeling and the interest expressed so far for this type of marketing tool, if you are aware of?
Oh, logic. Okay, according to the survey we did, certification is a tool that among the stakeholders in Middle East has between 6 and 8% of interest as seen by innovation tool for the system. So it's not very high, because others high interest are for traceability for food, supply chain with digitalization to offer to Europe a traced and safe product, or biological fighting, etc. But this is also because certification in Mediterranean area is a tool that arrived later after Central Europe and after Northern Europe. So it is a cultural development that exactly in Europe and United States went down to Mexico, Italy, Spain, and 10 years ago. And now is the time for Algeria, for Egypt, Israel, Palestine, and Jordan and Lebanon. So it is a logic development of the supply chain and the sensibility of the market.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Thank you for this. It applies to this type of innovation, but also other types of innovation that we experience within Living Agro. There is always a gradient from north to south or from east to west, and there is always a difference in eras for forest management, for grazing in forests. There are different ecological conditions that sometimes influence this, and cultural conditions that, as you say. So the challenge with this project is really to try to move the knowledge across and see what is of interest from one culture to the other, and what might be coming now in Italy might not yet come in Jordan, and vice versa. Some of the innovations that they proposed are not yet here. So that was very, very interesting to see within the...
Just to integrate, just to give you an idea, in this specific historical moment, Greece and Turkey are beginning the process of endorsement of the certification. And is exactly the moment in which the Eastern Mediterranean area is starting to be interested. And we are talking about Greece that is in Europe and Turkey that is inside Veneto. So we are talking about really an area that is becoming to be interested, but is, let's say, cultural, but is logic, okay? In addition, the climate emergency that all the Mediterranean area is living, see first the production as main important thing, and later the communication about production. But it will come, it will come. And I would be interested to know by Professor Mangst, that arrived now from the German Jordan Academy, and other FAO and other researcher, what is their idea about the possible potential of certification in this area, because you have much more experience that we have. We believe it is an important tool, but is according to the geographical, socio-political situation. So I'm also very happy to listen about your...
This is a question for Mr. Mangst. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry for being late because I had just another Zoom conference with the German Jordanian Association. Yeah, I am very new in your initiative, and I had a few days ago a short meeting with Francesco, and what I can offer is only to think about who would be institutions or people in Jordan who could be interested. Because I am myself now, I'm back from Jordan since 2016. I have been the vice president of the German Jordanian University, and the university itself does not have any agriculture and any forestry activities. There are other engineering programs, but some of my former colleagues in the area of environment, water, they are very well linked to experts in Jordan. And what I can do as a next step, I think next week or the following week, I will meet few of my former colleagues with a water workshop in Munich, and I can inform them about your initiative and ask for advice how they, the Jordanian experts, would like to see this initiative for Jordan, and also advise you on whom you could be or you should approach for as potential partners. I think this would be my role. I've been 5 years in Jordan, and I'm very much related to the country, and I like the country, and I like the people. And whenever I can do and support activities for Jordan, I'm happy to do this. But I'm not an expert in this.
Thank you, Mr. Anton. I guess your experience in Jordan is very relevant. We have been working with the NARC as a partner, and I think certification is something which is very much between agricultural research, but also policy making and also marketing tools. So it's really at the crossroads of several domains. So it's difficult to find one university or one let's say course that can merge all these issues. It's like just something happening as an innovation going on to market for green marketing that unites, you know, several fields. And I guess FAO is a very relevant stakeholder in this, in bridging innovation and policy making, because of the position papers, the project it carries out. So I think it's, for this specific workshop, we had 2 FAO participants. So I think this is very, very important for the future, for the work ahead.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Sarah. I
much.
forgot to mention that FAO does have an office in Jordan. The FAO has in most of the countries country offices, and there is one office also in Jordan. So, and again, my former colleagues from the university are also very well linked to the FAO. I do not know at this moment who is the head of the office from FAO, but that's definitely important that we also try to bring FAO into this picture, because they are also located with project and with their own office in Jordan.
Yes, and also I think NGOs are very important for in pushing and demanding for certification schemes. So we have several NGOs in our living lab, let's say, and we hope that they will follow this presentation that we will make available online and spread the news about this new tool. Are there any other questions from the audience? Again, from the southern rims of the Mediterranean. I see there are some Fadua El Haddad, Miriam Geha, a colleague from Lebanon. I mean, if you have any questions, either raise your hand or write them in the chat. And if there are no further questions, I mean, there is the forum, there is on the ICT platform, and you should have been registered to the platform to enroll to this seminar. So you can use the platform to ask the question or take the opportunity today that you have the representatives online. So if there are no other questions, maybe we can consider, you know, concluded this this webinar. As I said, the registration will be sent to you via email if you want to add your email in the chat here, and in some time it will be also available on the ICT platform. So let us know if you want to receive also via email more info about the following webinars. I remind in particular the events of the 18th and 19th. The first one will be on silvopastoral systems in Greece, carried out by Professor Anastasia Pantera, that will talk about the old and new agroforestry systems, so between fairies and real stories. And on the 19th, we will talk about nurseries, the importance of in restoration projects and in afforestation project or setting up of new agroforestry systems, the importance of preventing contamination in nurseries and the innovations that we are carrying out here in Forestas, also within Living Agro project. So stay tuned. Maybe Federica can send the link in the chat about the pages on the ICT platform where these webinars will occur. So I thank so much the speakers, Antonio Brunori and Francesco Marini, for this insight into PEFC certification. I also thank the participants who listened, and we are here for any further query on this or other innovation. I really invite you to join our platform for more information.
Thank you very much.
Federica, do you want to add one last sentence?
Thank you, Sarah. I want to thank as well all participants who attended today's webinar. I'm writing right now the link to our ICT platform where you can find all series of workshops of the cycle of the technology transfer workshops. Please join us. We have several other events and it will be a pleasure if you could join us also for the other appointments. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye Daniele. Bye all.
Bye, Daniele.